Pleasant good morning, one and all. Well, as I said, morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are, because we are conscious of the fact that people are looking at us from all over the globe. So, morning in New York, Eastern Standard Time is going to be midday, early in the afternoon in Guyana, and welcome to this fourth episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. We're going to have it hot today. Lots and lots of issues to discuss. So join us, share the word, share the word that we're on. My colleague, co-host, Mr. Clinton Conway, is already in the studio. We're waiting and ready to go. We have so much to talk about this morning. So keep sharing the live. I see the numbers are not what we expected to be at this time, but it is mounting rapidly. So keep sharing. And, give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Many persons have not been fortunate. Share the live. We have lots of issues to discuss. I'm going to do the roll call in a short while, but we have lots and lots of issues to discuss. So share the live and let people know that we are here this morning. Imagine February the 1st, Wednesday, February the 1st in the year 2023. Where did January go? January just disappeared. Can you imagine we're into February already? And so here we are, February, African History Month, and we are ready to go. We are ready, and I see many of the regulars are here already. I know that some people might be distracted because I understand that there is an issue on the East Coast, some disturbance in the Boston area. I just saw it on social media. So, but share the live. I'm sure you can multitask. Those of you who want to see what is going on there, you can multitask. Also, remember we are on YouTube. So if perchance people miss the live, you can get to YouTube. I've been encouraging people to go to YouTube and to subscribe to the channel. I see many people are subscribing. Subscribe to the channel and share. Hit the notification button so whenever we go live, you are going to be able to see. Some people are saying they're late for duty. Shah, no, you're not late. Shah is late. You're not late. You're on time because we're doing the little preamble now, and you're not late. You're not late. Some people are here very early. Let me do the roll call this morning. Man, some people don't waste time. The first in class this morning was Patricia. Patricia came in this morning at 9:30. Then Vibert, you came in shortly after 9:35. Then we had Machu at 9:41. We have Lyndon. He's from Patterson, New Jersey. He came in at 9:43. Then Jamil came in at 9:50. Kudawashi, not a regular, came in at 9:51. Carl, my squaddy. Carl came in at 9:53. Then we had Floyd next. Floyd came in at 9:56. He said good morning to everyone. Philip came in at 10:02. Then after Philip, we had Natasha D, another regular. Don't miss, she came in at 10:05. John all the way from Clarksville, he came in at 10:31. John Knights, welcome John Knights. You came in this morning at 10:47. You did say that you're not going to miss it for anything. Then we had Gavin from Baltimore. Jakey, welcome Jakey, and thanks for the thing. Welcome Jakey, thanks for the support, man. Then we had Court. Court came in this morning at 11. Trotty came in after that at 11:10. Trotty, you too, thanks for the support. Thanks, Isabella. Next at 11:17. My friend from Jamaica next, Dudley. Dudley all the way from Jamaica came in at 11:19. You don't miss it. And if perchance he has to go any place, he does send and tell me. Raul Redman came in at 11:24. Then we had Barbara at 11:30. Then Winston from Ontario, California came in at 11:33. Philip at 11:41. Jean B at 11:44. Francis at 11:49. Then we had Princess from Lamar Spring at 11:50. Then next we had Reggie. Reggie is okay. It's okay. I understand that you're busy. I might not be able to see the live, but YouTube is always there. Make sure you go and look at YouTube. Sean came in after that at 11:55. Jacko from Georgia. Jacko came in at 11:56. Floyd J. came in at 11:57. And then we had a whole set of other people. Winston Arthur came in thereafter. We had Scorpio. Scorpio says waiting to hear. We'll talk about this Scorpio. Lynette came in after that. And then we had William on Facebook. Samuel from Toronto. Emerson came in. Raul, regular Raul came in. And they, John and many other persons are coming in all the time. Some of the regulars, the secretary is here. Dennis is here. Canty is here. Melissa is here. School is being, the class is almost full already. And Rennie Misquarry is here. He's asking what's going on in Buxton. Natasha, welcome, 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 welcome. And another Jakey. And so many persons are here this morning. Well, share the live, share the live, share the live. Eric just reported for duty 8. Eric, you get your number wrong, man. You get your number wrong. You get it's 8218. You get 2228. Mistake, typographical. Dennis, welcome. Desmond, rather, welcome. Desmond Altia, welcome, welcome, welcome to you. Welcome. And we're going to make a start because, as I indicated this morning, we have lots and lots of things to discuss. We know you're going to find it very interesting. Let me say, as we would normally do, let's give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see this new day, to see the new month, February 2023. As I said only the other day, it was New Year's Day, and now we're into the first day of February already. The month really flew. The month really flew. And, well, you had so many incidents over the past week or so that we're gonna touch on them. Now, we like to start. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. And to say, we have to give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Several persons, including police ranks, have not been so fortunate. They have been called to the great beyond. So let me announce these few passings. First, I want to tell you that Sergeant Chandabali of the Presidential Guard, he passed away recently. We also had Corporal Michael Harris. Now, the story, Harris, I think, got involved in an accident some time ago in Bartica, and he succumbed over the past few days. Then we had a woman, Constable Hackett. I understand she was at Operations Room Big Dam, and she died. And we had retired woman police, I can't remember the rank she was when she retired. Perhaps Tessa and these people will be able to tell me. Joyce Ross, W7, Joyce Ross. Remember when I joined, I always remember that the most senior police woman in terms of regulation number that I met was W3, Yorick. She was stationed at the training school in 74 when I was a trainee there. And then I remember W7 Ross. Our husband was a senior police officer, Arthur Ross. And I got the information yesterday that she passed and was buried recently in Guyana. And then we have this shocking one of Senior Superintendent Edmund Cooper. And as I indicated in the notification, I think we have to let the public know how Cooper was treated. And I have all the details to give to you, and you judge for yourself whether you think Cooper was treated fairly or not. And before we go any further, I think it is only appropriate for me and all of us here to observe a minute's silence for the passing in respect of the late Senior Superintendent Edmund Cooper. Yes, I said a minute, but there was a moment's silence in respect of Cooper. Now, let me bring in my colleague, Mr. Conway. Before I do so, let me say that I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to all the relatives, friends, family of those deceased person, and to say maybe their souls rest in peace and they will rise in glory. Now, CC, good morning. Welcome. I think your mic is muted. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, your mic is muted, so please take off the mute button there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, Paul, I say I'm happy to be in the land of the living and to do God's work. And like you, my deepest sympathy to all those who passed away recently.
Yeah, well, as I indicated to our viewers, the Cooper issue will be dealt with as a subject by itself, because the thing really, really hurt me to know what they did to that young, brilliant officer. And I think the public needs to know, because, you know, they're running with all kind of PR now to give people the impression that he was properly treated. And I will give you the information and say, you judge for yourself whether whether he was properly treated or not. But that is going to be a subject on this program by itself. As I said in the notification, that will be an issue where I'll walk through the various occurrences, the various steps, and you judge. Now, there are several things I want to talk about. Maybe we could start, Mr. Conway, with this incident at Providence. Somebody asked me to comment on it, but I really had it to comment on. I'll be referring it to something that is publicized. I saw a video of the young man outlining exactly what transpired from the 10th of December 2022 right up to the following day in the Providence police station. He's alleging that he was assaulted with a firearm, all because he parked his vehicle in a particular area. They wanted him to move. He was waiting for the truck to be loaded with something. He did not move. Some man came, pointed a gun at him, took away his phone. He pursued them, but he wasn't able to catch up with them. And the following day, he went to the police station on the 10th. He made a report. He was taken to be medically examined, and he returned to the station that very day. And again, the following day, his mother, and his brother were at Providence police station to follow up on the report he made on the previous day. When they looked across this road and they saw the vehicle and the same persons that they were making the report against over there. So he pointed out to the police, look, these people are across there. And the police in Providence police station told him, that is what he's alleging, that he has to send for the patrol to go across the road to arrest these persons. In the meanwhile, the other brother decided he's going to go over there and he's going to video record these people who were there. When they saw him video recording them, they pursued him and he ran into the station. Obviously, they wanted to take away the phone with the evidence. He ran into the station. They pursued him right into the station using expletives. That is what he is claiming. The video is there for persons to see. He's claiming that they pursued him right into the station. One of them slapped his mother. And he said he saw either the same one or next one had a firearm in his pants waist. And the way he was looking, he suspected he would have drawn the firearm and maybe shoot. And this is all in the presence of two police ranks at the station. He said the man reached to the firearm and he also reached, and they had a scuffle for this firearm. The firearm went off. But after the firearm went off, he said everybody hit the ground. The two policemen bolted out of the station. He said that the two policemen ran out of the station. And later on, people came and the matter. But he's complaining because he's saying that since then, the 10th of December 2022, this report was made, and according to him, nothing has happened so far. Of course, he calling name and saying that people say money passed and nothing is going to happen and all of that. CC, did you see that a report? What are your views?
I saw it, Paul, and it's shocking what took place. And also what took place in this station. I think we are lucky that the man has had a cool head, because I don't know how I would have operated. I mean, my mother is dead, but if I was in a station and a man going to slap my mother in the station, and then later on, I had the opportunity to gain possession of a weapon. I don't know what really would have happened, but the thing is that there's a lack of police action. I saw this morning in the papers where they quoted the crime chief was saying that the matter has been sent to the DPP for advice. And they're abusing the process of matters being sent to DPP. Clear cut cases, you don't have to send to DPP. It is mandatory that certain offenses, yes, like offenses under the Domestic Violence Act, um, corrupt transaction with the agent, and other offenses where you have real technical legal matters that you send them to the but when the file come to you, I don't know what's commanded you return back the file and say, hey, proceed, because those are clear cut cases. Clear cut cases doesn't have to go to DPP unless it's mandatory. But I don't know who we have as commanders, and they shelter on the pretext file gone to the DPP. And then I heard DPP say, we only get it 2 weeks ago. And all them kind of nonsense going on there. Too many delays, a lack of action. But then again, if a man could go in the president's residence, the compound there, and take away a firearm from people, and then a wall of silence, no, it is not surprising that what happened at Providence police station, but it's ridiculous, Paul. It's really ridiculous.
Oh, you're correct. You're correct. This thing, the abuse of the process, everything going to the DPP, some straightforward matters. The man alleged that he was assaulted by the man using a gun. And the silence, the lack of information to the public. No one knows what has happened, whether this gun was seized, whether the persons were arrested, whether they were questioned. Nobody. And that is the frustrating thing. No, look, I remember years ago we had this debate as police officers with the late, great Ian Chan about matters that had to go to the DPP. And Ian Chan, who was at one time the DPP himself, he became acting Chief Justice, legal luminary. He made it clear. He said to us, look, he said the law indicates clearly the matters that should go to the DPP for the consent. He said the statute will state that no proceedings in this particular matter should commence without the sanction of the DPP. They use legal language, not necessarily the words that I'm using.
They said a fiat.
The fiat of the DPP, correct. He said, but all other matters, but the problem that you have now, you don't have commanders and even other senior officers with the knowledge and the experience and the know-how to read a file and to see that the elements of an offense are there and to instruct charges to be instituted. They don't have that. So everything that comes to these people, they're acting now like conveyor belts. Everything that comes to them, go to the DPP for legal advice. It slows down the whole process. And then when it goes to the DPP looks at it, if at all they look, because they get the impression nowadays they don't even look at some of these things. They just approve. And then it's a long process to get back before charges are instituted. Long, unnecessary delay. And again, we say that can only be overcome by having competent people, well-trained people in these positions. You can't just pitch for a command into position. I am sure that if you were to do a survey now, most of the commanders, most of the detective officers have never turned back a file. In other words, having seen the file, give instructions to institute particular charges. They can send it on, conveyor belt, send it on to the DPP. And that is part of the problems. You're overburdening the DPP one, and then you're slowing down the whole process. Because when a file moves from the division, it's the subdivision, then the division, then to CID, because all files, whether it's crime files or fatal accident, other accident files going to the DPP, all of those files have to go through the CID headquarters, the crime chief. So all go through there, and then they come back through this long route. Listen, it delays the process unnecessarily, and it's about time people start to look. But some people are saying here that if they were in that man's position, where a man slapped his mother in front of him, and then later on he got possession of a firearm and a man was there, they don't know how it would have ended. And none of us, once you're not in the position, you're not going to know how you're going to react. I always remember being taught about the concept of the Johari window with the 4 panes. And one of the pain says that you can never say exactly how you will act in a particular situation unless you are faced in the situation. You might believe, oh, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to stay cool. But when you're confronted with the situation, that is the only time you will know exactly how you will act. So, all's well that ends well in terms of the demand did not go. The man show a lot of calm and a lot of maturity. Get his firearm, the gun go off accidentally, and he did not use it against anyone. That is maturity. Yeah? That is a good temperament, because I know a lot of people would not have acted so rationally. So let's hope. The man is very frustrated when you look at the video. The man is very, very frustrated, and I see the thing making rounds all over. And based on the man's story again, that is what he's saying. But story get other side. These things call for proper investigation. The issue is that the police, the credibility of the police is so short that when they come up, after you take all of this time, and then you come up with something, people don't believe you. People don't believe you. That is a major issue. So let's hope that they're going to move to deal with this thing with some amount of speed. That's easy.
That's true. And then again, when you look at the men, them perhaps they treated the men them like how they treated Remember Ozzy Rogers going to place, and they say the same issue, the same kind of behavior as the case may be. So let's hope that something positive will come. And I remember, I always remember when they take long to deal with matters. I talked about before when Timothy McVeigh and his partner bombed the government building in Oklahoma City. I remember President Bill Clinton said, the action that we take will be swift, will be certain, and will be appropriate. Before long, they charged him McVeigh, and he had appropriate punishment, death by lethal injection. So I always tell my men, I always say that the action that we must take must be swift, must be certain, and must be appropriate. Don't wait long. It loses its value.
Yeah, well, let's understand that there might be cases. There are some complex cases where you have to investigate witnesses. You have to get witnesses. There's some cases like that, but not all of these cases, man. Some of these things are too straightforward to be dragged out
Yeah.
for so long. CC, next thing I saw, you wrote a letter there. I think it appeared a few days ago in the People. Tell us something about the issues you raised in that letter.
Okay, Paul. I asked about who would be the next commissioner of police. Because Hicken, according to the records that I know, on the 22nd of July, Hicken would be 55. And that's the age of retirement. I understand that he has leave, which will carry him to retirement. In addition to that, I understand they have applied for him to be paid for his leave, which would allow him to work until his date of retirement. But apart from that, also, there is the possibility of him being extended beyond retirement. We had cases like Larry Lewis, Floyd McDonald, Henry Green, Leroy Bromell, all commissioners who were extended. And the thing is, Paul, is that some time ago, I mentioned that there was a gang of 5 operating in the police force when Happy was commissioned and working against him. Now, what happened during the last promotion that was announced by the not lawful and duly constituted Police Service Commission, which is headed by a bishop? And we know bishops we've been dealing with. We know the mendacity about bishops we've been dealing with. The thing is that in the preparation of the list that was sent to the Police Service Commission, that commission there, they rearranged the list of seniority. Somebody reshuffled away called the batting order between number 1 and number 4. So a junior man rose and headed the list. We heard the Chief Justice mention, but a certain senior superintendent is self-serving. So the list went to the Service Commission, and it came back the same way. No add, they didn't alter, they didn't correct anything. So a junior senior soup became the senior assistant commissioner. And it has caused a lot of ripplings there. A lot of crab in the barrel mentality emerge. Because they all now fighting to get to the apex of management. I would call them, they're like snipers. And the thing is that who should be the next commissioner of police? Dr. Paul Williams, deputy commissioner, is the most senior after the commissioner. He should be the next person there. But what they do, they banish him, they send him to COVID-19, and then later they send him to CDC, where we checking on rainfall and we checking on floods. And let me tell you something about CDC, Civil Defense Commission. Civil Defense Commission get a deputy commissioner. They get senior soup and they get superintendent there doing what, I don't know. And they're all university graduates. Then next in line, we have Royston Andrews Jr., but he is on a trump-up charge before the court and therefore will not be promoted. And then we have him, Simon McBean. You may recall McBean Jr. when this present government was in power, they had unlawfully dismissed McBean after he went to England and qualified a master's degree in policing and global security. He appealed the case, he won, he was reinstated, and he's now an assistant commissioner. But he's not in their good books. They still have grievance over him. And he has been performing, perpetually been performing outstandingly, and his discipline is great. So so it left us now with what we call the snipers. And here are the allegations. And my words, here are the allegations. One of them is due to ethnicity is favored by a house in Robb Street. One is favored by two officers southwest of Ivlery, and he reports directly to them. One has obtained a document which is indicating that he has passed the age of 55. And he's saying if the extend Hicken, he's going to shoot that document to the public. Another one, collecting intelligence, which he will share to the movers and shakers of the police force. One is with a ridiculous ease doing the biddings of the politician. And he said the appointment of commissioner is a political one, and therefore he will be appointed because he and the politicians good. And on the other side of it, we have an army colonel who is in the runnings, but he's afraid that if he takes up the position, the sniper is going to undermine him like how they undermine Happy. Now, the thing is, Paul, that they are fighting against each other. And for the appointment of a commissioner, it must be the president has the sole authority, the sole responsibility. According to Article 211.1, it says that the president shall have every commissioner of police and deputy shall be appointed by the president after meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition and the chairperson of the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission is not legally functioning. For it to be lawful, there must be the chairman, the chairperson of the Public Service Commission. There is no Public Service Commission, hence there is no chairman. I hope when the president makes a decision, he will not go and shelter under the doctrine of necessity. I hope that he'll do so very early, and I hope putting all our legal arrangements in place, and I hope he'll do so legally. But the thing is that we got to be careful because with the infighting, with the crab in the barrel mentality, it does not go well for the Guyana police force. Hope that better judgment will prevail.
Well said, well said. Let me just make one point very clear, and I hope they are listening. Let me make, and I'm talking here about the seniority and the attempt to reshuffle seniority and so on. Now, the police force has a fixed establishment. The establishment indicates how many posts should be at various levels. 1 commissioner, 4 deputy commissioner, 12 assistant commissioners, 17 senior superintendent, and so on. Now, because it's a fixed establishment, you when promotions are done, you make promotions to fill vacancies that are created. And from those vacancies, you will get the correct date. So if a man retires on the 1st of December, an assistant commissioner retires on the 1st of December, someone is to be promoted, is promoted effective from that date. And I can say this without any fear of contradiction, that when the last commission made the promotions, the last promotions were made in 2019, and then again in 2021, which the government failed to recognize. But let's deal with the 2019 promotion. We ensured that those dates were made were published in the government order were the correct dates. So I say this: no one who was promoted at the last time, right, can legally be senior to anyone who was promoted before. Because we made sure that the dates were aligned to dates when people came off the job. No one can legally be promoted above those persons. And if that was done, it is up to the persons to challenge it. I am not going to tell you, look at the force orders, look at the special order, look at the government order, you would see the dates. And I am saying that it simply meant that there were no vacancies earlier than that particular date. And it's up to you if you want to go and allow this type of illegality to continue. If you want to allow the illegality, and because remember, when we're talking about seniority here, you're talking about length in the rank, you're talking about your superannuation benefits, and all of these things are coming into to play, you know. So it's not something that you should take lightly, but that is up to you. That is up to you. And let me say further about the extension. You know, I said some time ago, and nothing has happened to change my views, that the man who sits in the chair is not qualified to be there. And I said, based on what he had said, that he was promised the job, I said I have no doubt that they're going to give him, and when the time comes, they might very well extend him. But let me say this: extensions have not worked well to those persons. The first person I recall in my time that was extended was Mr. Balim Ragabir. I remember that was under President Hoyt. I was a young officer. Mr. Hoyt came to the officers' conference, and during his presentation, he said that consideration should be given. He asked us to give our views on whether consideration should be given for the commission to be extended beyond 55. And a paper, we had to get into groups and put up paper on this thing, and we argued against it. We argued against it, and we show reasons why people should not be extended, especially selectively. And he came back the next year and he said a decision was taken for Mr. Ragabir to be extended. And Mr. Ragabir was extended. That did not go very well. Then following Mr. Ragabir, you had Mr. Lewis. When the government came into power in 1992, Mr. Lewis did what they would call, now there's referred to a certain lady as she swing. Well, Mr. Lewis did swing long before so maybe she took a page from Mr. Lewis's book. So he swung. And he got, I think, was 2 years in the first instance extension, and then he got a next extension, which took him to 60. And when he reached 60, they were then seeking to have him further extended beyond 60, because in that process he shoot down all his rivals. And that is the word that the Chief Justice used not so long ago. All persons who were likely to succeed him, he painted a back picture of them, and they wanted to extend him beyond 60. The late parliamentarian and lawyer Debbie Baker did her research and found that they had no legal authority to extend him beyond 60, and therefore in 2001 he had to go into retirement, where he already went into retirement. Next man after him was Mr. Floyd McDonald, took over. Some people question whether he was qualified to take over in terms of age, because by the time Larry Lewis came off, McDonald was past 55. And some people argue that even though you could have been extended the rank in the office of commissioner, you ought to have been appointed by the time you got to that age. That was a discussion. So he was extended, and we all know what happened. He presided over the worst period in the history of the Ghana police force, and then in terms of death of policemen and the mayhem that took place. After Mac, the next person to be extended was Miss Squaddy Henry Green. And again, that didn't end well. Henry Green ended up being investigated for rape or some similar offense. And then that is another matter creating history, because even before the matter could have reached the court, he moved to the High Court, and the High Court struck out the matter. In other words, the High Court ruled that he should not be charged, and then he moved on. Then Leroy Bromell was extended. That ended abruptly as well. So those are the persons. So let's see what will happen. At the end of the day, I think you have to have someone who is competent, who can command the respect of the public, who can command the respect of his subordinates. And right now, with what's going on, the people are ruling by fear. Everyone is afraid to speak. Everyone is afraid to do all kinds of things because of the vindictive nature of some of these snipers that you're referring to. So let's see how that will go. Let's see how that will go. And see, the next thing I want us to quickly, I wrote a letter as well. I think that was published on Monday and so. And I drew the attention to people about what went on in the U.S. State of Memphis, where these 5 police officers are alleged to have beaten. Well, not alleged, because we saw it and tape. They beaten the man. The man subsequently died. Tyree Nichols. And in quick time, those men were dismissed. The 5 were charged. Others who were there, who turned up, including the EMTs, and did not render assistance to this visibly injured man, they suspended off the force. Some of them lost their work and all kind of thing. That is on this happened in I think on the 26th or the 27th of January. Now the contrast is that on the 1st of January 2023, police rank say he fired a few shots in the direction of Corporal McPherson and this man Bodberg, killing both of them. The 1st of January, today's the 1st of February, and pardon, up to now, you can't hear you. Initially, the man who sits in the chair went there to say, oh, we're going to be transparent and we're going to give frequent updates. The next thing I saw in the news is that the 2 ranks who were there were placed under close arrest and then released and then put under open arrest. And then I saw a caption somewhere that some presentation was made to either the wife or the reputed or other wife of the Corporal McPherson. And until now, 1 month passed. No action has been taken that we are aware of. The public has not been updated as to what has transpired, whether the investigation has done. I made the point in the letter too that the law mandates that in matters like these, the Police Complaints Authority should supervise the investigation. And you're not hearing anything about this matter. And people are being allowed to get away with this type of unprofessional behavior. Perhaps questions are being asked, no response is given, and people just allow it to go like that. Mr. Conway, help me out here, please.
Yeah, Ball. And I recall, on the 6th of January in Virginia, and you know Virginia well, you were in Quantico, a 6-year-old elementary school child, a girl, shot her teacher. She pointed the gun at her. The teacher raised her hand. She got shot in the palm and in her chest. It was unprecedented. And the same day, the sheriff of that county went before the press. And he didn't go alone. He took the head of the education department and the mayor and gave the press an update, although there were numerous questions that he could not have answered, and he admitted, but he gave them a picture of what took place or what the police knew. He didn't duck and hide, or he didn't do like what Hicken and Branham did when they tried to debunk the story of the detective sergeant. He went there the same day and gave an update, although he didn't have all the information, but he gave an update of what's going on. And that is policing, and that is how we must operate. We might not know everything. We might not get the clear, we may not know everything what's going on, but be fair to the public. Let the public know exactly what you have, and let them know, hey, I'm going to come back to you and give you added information. But don't say we're going to give regular update and you don't give a no update. Nonsense. And I'm glad you make the point that the police complaints authority must supervise those investigations, like what happened on New Year's morning. And there are several other offenses too in the law, and they must supervise it. They had a recent case where the DPP had indicted a police, I think it was a corporal, for murder, and it was brought out in the High Court that they didn't comply with the Police Complaint Authority Act, and therefore the judge quash the actions of the DPP. And then, Paul, I wonder, do we have a police complaint authority?
Well, good question. Good question. Maybe that can be cleared up. Maybe that can be cleared up whether the authority is indeed there. But I know, as you have been pointing out, that the Act mandates that when there are certain reports, including a report of this nature where the action of the police caused the death or is alleged to have caused the death of anyone, the Police Complaints Authority must supervise. It is mandatory, must supervise the investigation and indicate whether he or she is satisfied that the investigation was properly done. Now let me welcome some more persons here. I see many persons have joined. Cheryl, Carol, welcome, Carol, another regular, welcome, Tessa, Ether, welcome, George is here, and so many other, Miranda, and many persons. Shatman, John, welcome. I note my Rafiq, welcome, Rafiq. I see my shooting mate, Paul from Canada is also here. Welcome, Paul. Welcome all. Neil, Diamond Star, Lado is here as well. Share the live. Audrey, welcome, Audrey. Welcome. Ishmael, and all of these are here. Welcome. I'm running through. Ivan from the Bronx, welcome. Share the live. Let them know. I know the numbers are there. They could squeeze in. They could look through the window. The class is full, but they can look through the window to get the information. Share the live. Share it. Patrick is here. Anthony Stepping Stone is here as well. We have Brennan and all of these people. Yolanda, all of them are here. All people are there. Many persons. Audrey says she's present. I know you're present, Audrey. I know Elise has been absent for some time. Lennox has been absent. Secretary, I hope you're making note. I miss Elise. I miss Lennox. I hope they have a good excuse. Welcome, Vibert. As well. Welcome. Now let's move on. There are certain things, perhaps I gotta say kudos to the Police Cooperative Communication Unit, because I saw in a report recently, they found a firearm and they're reporting on a firearm being found, and it's not a suspected firearm any longer. They know it's a firearm, so they say a firearm being found. And then you give them the kudos, and then they gotta take it back almost immediately, because they, in a release on Monday, they're talking about a raid exercise on the seawall. Now, what is a raid exercise? These people writing a whole kind of crap on this thing. And I mentioned it before. Perhaps they are so stubborn that they decide they're going to continue to do what they do, so they could say what you want to say. That's up to you if you don't want to learn. There's a big difference between an exercise and an operation. What took place there, based on all the reporting, was an operation to deal with motorcycles. An operation, not an exercise. Exercise refers to when you're doing training. So, you get exercise trade wind and all these type of other exercises. When you are exercising, you're training. In this case, it wasn't no training. It was an operation. So learn. I know the civilians there running the unit wouldn't know the difference, perhaps. But they're stubborn. They're stubborn because certain things are changing. For example, they're no longer writing, at least in that one thing, they didn't tell you about a suspected firearm. They tell you about a firearm being found. But now they're telling you back what a raid exercise. Rubbish. They're not like a raid exercise. Whether you want to learn or not, that is up to you. You're going to frustrate me. I'm going to continue to call you out when you make your mistakes. And it's up to you whether you want to learn or not. And I would think that some of the senior people who are in the system who know the right thing will tell them, will call them and tell them, stop this nonsense, you're looking bad. Stop this nonsense, you are looking thin, as a youngster would say. You're looking thin, right? So they have that. And then, well, to comment briefly on the raid exercise, in the quote unquote raid exercise. Now, I understand the need for something to be done about all these motorcycles around the place, a lot of the robberies going with motorcycles. But I just want to say that any action that is taken must be action in keeping with the law. People have rights, constitution and other rights. And you can't, as I said before, I used to tell people, you can't break the law to enforce the law. So that is my caution. You cannot break the law to enforce the law. And I think you need to review those who are responsible of that operation, not all blasted raid exercise. You need to review how that operation was conducted. Because I hear people telling, well, you're not going to get your motorcycle until you produce an helmet and all of that. Check the law. There's no law saying that a man must get helmet. The law says he must ride. The rider and the pillion rider must ride with a safety helmet. So please review your operation, because again, I said there's need for something to be done. There is need, and I know from experience, being a policeman, being a traffic chief on 2 occasions, it's not easy to deal with people riding without helmet. People say, what's a man pass without helmet? But what do? You're a policeman, stand up on the road and a man right past you. What are you going to do? Take down the number perhaps, and then check to see through GRA who is the registered owner, and perhaps try to go through. It's a long process. Because even when you discover who is the registered owner, there's nothing saying that the registered owner was riding at the time. So you have to go through a process where you serve a notice of identity, and then many times the thing come back, or even for a GRA level, they give you a name. You go there, nobody knows that the person by that name, and all kind of irregularities. So yes, I'm saying there is a dying need for something to be done, but whatever is done has to be in keeping with the laws, because you're gonna, if other than that, you're gonna alienate a lot of people who are supportive. Because I can well imagine people who are there who had all the papers intact, but the bicycles are seized, and then you have to go to work perhaps the next day, or you have to go somewhere the next day. You're deprived of your perhaps only mode of transportation. We have to look at it and make sure that when these operations are planned, people's rights are taken into consideration. CC?
Paul, I'm happy that the commander there is making an effort to deal with the root of crime and not the fruit, because we've heard many cases where persons and motorcyclists have committed quite a number of robberies. So I'm happy that he's not just looking at percentage increase or decrease in crime. He's trying to go to the root. But as you highlighted, in these mass operations, and many times you will trample on the rights of innocent persons. So they got to be very, very careful when those mass operations are being carried out, that you don't trample on the rights of innocent, law-abiding citizens, or it may very well have a chain reaction.
Yes. And let me move on, because I said we got a lot to discuss this morning. Now, the next thing I want to raise is this. I read in the paper that let me go through a security guard found with unlawful firearm on January the 26th. The man is already charged and remanded. Meanwhile, you got a security guard who on January the 13th, well, he was a security guard, not authorized to carry a firearm, not trained. He's not a supernumerary constable. Marcy never trained. He was employed 2 weeks before. Give him a 9mm pistol, shoots himself in the palm, but he said by accident, shoots another innocent bystander, and that was on January 13. This is February 1. Nothing has happened. Nothing. And you got a question because we look to see what the people involved, the security guard. Well, and there's a next one too, where a security guard was found, some security guard found in unlawful possession of the a firearm. He was some guard. They said they had an intelligent-led operation. Intelligent-led, they must stop talking about this intelligent-led thing because it's becoming an oxymoron. Intelligent-led operation. They found the man with some pistol. The man charged and remanded. And this other guy, who not only in unlawful possession, but he shoots himself, shoots an innocent person. We haven't heard about anything, what is the condition of these people, him and the other person, but he's still there. I understand too what has happened, as we highlighted last week, that they hustle and backdate some approval. I have seen the document. So this incident occurred on the 13th of January. And on the same 13th of January, approval is signed for this company to operate. And we pointed it out last week. And you might be shocked to know, and again, the public, Lado, Vibort, you all listen carefully. You might be shocked to know that what they did over the approval. They had the approval done over, right? So the approval is now signed in July 2022. The man who signs put the date July 2022 below his signature, but the date it still remains that this company get approval from the 28th of December 2022. You see, when you're incompetent and you're corrupt, Mr. CC said that if you're incompetent and you do your incompetent best, you're still incompetent. And this is a clear example of that. So while they also to cover up the thing, because I guess they listen to us and they we said that this thing look wrong, because obviously it couldn't have been a coincidence that the same day this approval is given on the 13th of January, the man shoot himself. They're back there, they do a little nasty work there. But when they recognize, based on what we said in nasty work, they try to correct it. But they correct the date of the signature, but they did not correct the date of the approval. See?
I mean, add another word, we talk about competence, although this word is not to be used in Parliament or recently. If you're corrupt and you try your corrupt best, you're still corrupt.
Well, this is not Parliament. I heard about the word incompetent and corruption is not to be used. I heard the speaker say you can't use that word. So I guess until he pass the law, we are law-abiding citizens. Unless they pass the law, that you can't use it on this program. The name of the program will remain speaking out, exposing corruption and incompetence, because there's so much corruption and incompetence. We got to, I don't know what wrong to these people, man.
Let me just
incompetent.
Let me just make the point too. And the thing is that I saw the document too, and the person signs for the controlling authority. No, you sign for controlling authority. Person you sign. The controlling authority is the commissioner of police.
That's what the law says.
And somebody sign. I know the signature well, and they get an A/C. Perhaps it's an assistant commissioner. I know what the AC stands for, but it's
air conditioning. Maybe stand for air conditioning.
And then sign for control authority. Just sign so. And the thing is, Paul, I know in my days and maybe in your days that certain things that you pull up to you, thing like it's firearm and it's in firearm license, it is you, the commander. The 2IC can't sign for nothing, or if admin man can approve anything. So they gotta look at that. But they're covering up and more they're covering up, like you say, like Soxan, no? You're sinking deeper.
Sinking more. Welcome, Carlton Popo. Welcome, Carlton. Shatrat, welcome to all those ones. Continue to share the live. So yes, that is what is happening. I think it was last week where we spoke on the program. Somebody did ask whether security personnel are permitted to wear civilian clothes, plain clothes. And we did the research, and we can tell you that there's a provision in the Act, but they can only do so with the approval of the authority. And as Mr. Conway pointed out just now, the authority is the Commissioner of Police. So yes, you can have people in plain clothes, but it has to have the express authority of the controller or the Commissioner of Police. See?
Yeah, and let me read the act. It's section 16.3. Say, while on duty, every police security guard and supervisors shall wear the uniform and badges given to him and shall display on his person the photo identity card issued under subsection 1. And this is the part where they can come maybe plain clothes, unless otherwise approved by the controlling authority. So the commissioner, in my interpretation of that, the commissioner has got to give the permission for this private security to perform in civilian clothing.
And I believe, based on what it said, this can't be carte blanche. It got to be a case where perhaps they identify particular individuals and based on their duty can say, well, yes, this particular individual can wear plain clothes. So that is just to answer to the question that was raised last week during the program. Now let me move on to the main issue. Let us move on to the main issue today. As I said in the notification, I intend to discuss the disgraceful way in which the late Senior Superintendent Cooper was treated by the administration of the force. And I'm going to it. Y'all sit back and listen. As you know, Cooper died Saturday morning. And this thing pained me a lot, pained me. So let me walk you through. Now, his troubles, I say that his troubles, I've made some note. His troubles began really in 2020. Following the death of the Henry Boys on the West Coast Bobbies. At the time, he was the regional commander there. People came out on the road to protest, and he was engaging with the leaders, as is the correct thing. But the powers that be, the politicians and the people who sat at headquarters wanted him to use force to remove the people. He used his judgment and felt that at that time, there was no need for force to be used because he was engaging with the leaders and trying to get them to get the people off the road peacefully, allow vehicles to pass, and so. They weren't satisfied. So they sent riot unit, tear smoke, and shotgun pellets. The thing escalated, and he was relieved of his command. He was removed from Region 5. He was brought to what they call some special project unit with no project, and then he was put to look after horses at the equine unit, the mounted branch. That is what they did, right? Now, the next thing, after he removed, because he did not carry out those orders, and again, I say as a man who was operationally ground, the man on the ground has to make the call. He has to make the call. And what I am, in terms of engaging with the people to try to get a peaceful resolution, that was the correct thing. But they weren't satisfied. Now, the next thing is that he was shortlisted by the police service commission that I chaired and Conway was a member to be promoted to assistant commissioner. That was in 2020. He was shortlisted. Then on Christmas Eve Day in 2020, Christmas Eve Day, the Minister of Home Affairs, I call him name, let them sue. I get the evidence. The Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Robeson Ben, communicated with the acting or the man who performing the functions of the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ijit Api, to say that Cooper and some other officers should be charged criminally. Should be charged criminally. And it was clear as day that that was done so as to try to influence the Police Service Commission not to promote Cooper and others. Now, having said that, when the minister communicated that to Api, the man who sat in the admin chair wrote to Cooper, and here, let me read again, because I know they like to run up the court step, and I get the facts together. I get everything lined up. Here what he wrote to say. They want him to be charged with dereliction of duty. And here what the letter says. And it came to the commission too. This officer was the commander of Police Regional Division 5. The Bobbies' unrest following the alleged murder of Isaiah and Joel Henry occurred during his tenure. It is alleged that he facilitated the unlawful activities by actively assisting protesters, deliberately failed to take appropriate action. He allegedly assisted with transportation. And then they said this investigation is being conducted by CID headquarters. That was in December 2020. December 2020. And today, the other officers, including Cooper is dead now, nothing came out of that. So it was clear that they wrote that to try to influence the Police Service Commission not to promote Cooper. And then he didn't finish there. He didn't finish there. The promotion shortlist was leaked. Brutus, senior superintendent at the time, said so in an affidavit before the court that the promotion shortlist was leaked to him. So that on the 30th of December 2020, he moved to the court with a fixed date application to basically stop the promotion of Cooper and others. He moved to court. He was joined, I get the facts, he was joined by Bacchus, the man who now is in charge of Region 6 at New Amsterdam. He was joined by Premnerine. I'm sure I think he's up on the secret post somewhere. He was joined by Stanley, Ravinger Stanley. He's the man I understand now is the second in command at Diamond. There's Region 4B. And he was also joined by Shavon Jupiter in this application. We know what became of that. The Chief Justice struck it out on the 28th of June 2021. It was struck out. Right? Now, coming forward, we say sideline the Putty Project Office, the Putty Mounted Branch. He was admitted to the bar. The man studying all the years. The man got to UG, get the law degree. He go to UD, and he get a COVID admission. He wasn't admitted to the bar or get his certificate from the UD Law School during COVID. He went there and he studied, came back, admitted to the bar. It is said, it was reported that when he was admitted to the bar, there was no support from the administration of the Guyana Police Force. So nobody can go to sit and congratulate a colleague being admitted to the bar. So bar treatment all along. Then moving along, even when then he got sick. He got sick. Nobody don't buy sickness. Nobody don't call sickness about himself. He felt he got a stroke. Obviously, Tiakan, all that was going on, the man got a stroke. He got no support or little or no support from the police when he was sick. So much so that he lives across the river, West Demerara, right? In order to access treatment easily, he had to move to some relative in Georgetown. When I hear these things, your blood boil. He had to move. They had to move him to be closer to the medical facility so he can get transportation to go. No support. So in other words, they didn't send no vehicle whenever he had to go to the hospital to take him to the hospital. Then after a while, he felt that he was well enough to report for duty. Because he was recovering. Up to last week when I spoke to people, he was recovering. Man tell me driving by himself, he's exercising. The only issue he had was a little slurred speech. And somebody communicated to me that, look, this man was making a fantastic recovery. And I felt so glad. So glad. The next thing you know, the man reported for duty. He was then advised that he should not resume. He should go back out and await some instruction. So he did that. He went back out. Wait for instruction. Then the next thing, he was told that he had to go before the medical board. He went before the medical board, and he did not get any other communication from the Guyana Police Force. No other communication from the force. The next thing here is that, and I think this is what sent him over the edge. The next thing, I think a few weeks ago, he heard that force orders, and for those people who don't know, force orders is the internal organ where all the instructions and orders in the force are published weekly. Force order number 47 of 2022, dated the 2nd of December 2022. The man is, they read in the force order that the man has retired under medical grounds. Let me tell you what the publication say. The publication of his retirement on medical grounds in force order 4722, dated December the 2nd, 2022. It says, and I quote, Approval has been given for Senior Superintendent E. Cooper to retire from the Ghana Police Force on medical grounds with effect from 22/12/01. Imagine that. Force order published on the 2nd of December 2022 to say that this senior police officer has been retired on the medical grounds. The day before, and in all of this, nothing was communicated to him. No letter was sent to him to tell him what is going on, as is required by the public service rules. Nothing sent to him. And I have here, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, how the thing should work. Because, I don't just talk. And let me direct them to public service rules, number M1 to 3. I did the research. I called people to find out because people are wrong with the institutional knowledge. I called to find out. And hear what it says. Well, not the public service rules. Let me read the public service rules for you. Bear with me. Mr. Conway, comment in the meanwhile. Let me find the relevant rules so I could read it to our people.
Paul, I am perturbed over the treatment of Cooper because our relationship was like a father-son relationship. I recruited Cooper, trained at the Felix Austin Police College in B Division, and during his initial training, he showed tremendous potential for growth and development. He didn't surprise me. He moved up rapidly, work in various police divisions, held command position, as the case may be. And he used to call me Dad. You mentioned about him being Paul, you could come on.
Yes. I found the public service rules. And let me read it for our viewers and for all of them who are listening. They monitor and they listen. It's public service rule M3 1. The heading is retirement on medical grounds. It said whenever it is considered necessary for a public servant to be examined with a view to ascertaining whether or not she should be retired on medical grounds or ill health, the permanent secretary or head of department or regional executive officer shall make arrangements for the medical board examination and shall make available to the medical board medical certificates tendered by the employee over the last preceding 3 years. That is M1. M2, a public servant who is medically boarded in accordance with Rule M31 and found unfit for further service shall, unless there is a challenge to the findings of the medical board, report not to be, let me read that back. Unless there is a challenge to the findings of the medical board's report, not be allowed to remain on duty after receipt of the medical board's report, and shall be granted such vacation leave as the deferred vacation leave for which she is entitled. And 3 says, if the public servant has no leave to his or credit, he shall be given 1 month's notice of termination of his or her appointment on medical grounds or 1 month's salary in lieu thereof. That is what the public service rule says. And in practice, what happens? This Cooper case, in terms of person getting ill on the job, is not the first time. It's not the first time. And here, what is the procedure? Again, I write it out. You got sick. You're entitled to a certain number of sick days in the year. I know it used to be 28. I don't know if it's all wrong, but 28 days sick leave for the year. If you utilize your 28 days sick leave, then and you're still on sick, you're on leave, then you eat into your vacation leave, your annualized vacation leave for that year, and for whatever annualized vacation leave you may have. If after all the annualized vacation leave has been used up, then you are put on no pay leave. Sorry, you're put on half pay leave. The police, the government pay you half pay, and then you go through the process for the NIS, because remember you're contributed to the National Insurance Scheme. So when you're put on half pay, the NIS will then pay you the next half. I think that lasts for like about 6 months. If after that period you're still sick and unable to resume, then you are put on no pay leave. And when that no pay leave runs for a while, then the administration should now engage with the police sergeant. And the police sergeant will examine you and determine whether you're fit to resume or not. Well, of course, if you're fit to resume, you're told to resume. If you're not fit to resume, then you are medically boarded. In other words, there's a publication, all the letters and so on go, that this person is medically boarded. In other words, you're not working, you're not on sick leave, but you are medically boarded. Then the board is convened to examine you to determine whether you can remain on the job or not. Again, if the board says that you should not remain on the job, then, or let put it the other way, if you're to remain, then you're told to resume. If you are to come out the job medically unfit, as we would say, then it's a whole set of writing. The person has to be informed. He has to see the report from the board because there's a provision there for him to seek a second opinion. That is the public service rules, that you should seek a second opinion. I know that would not have been utilized over the years because most times, all the cases that I know, once a person gets through, as we would say, on the medical board, they're glad to leave the job. Because when you have been found to be medically unfit to continue, you get all your benefits and rights. You get your gratuities computed and your pension, everything. So people glad. I remember back in the day, there was a young guy, Garrett, I think it was his name, 8031 from the TSU. He used to boast that he's the youngest pensioner because he came out of the job medically unfit at a very young age, and he got his pension and everything. So there's a process to be gone through. There's a process. You can't just publish in Fosadas that the man retire on the medical grounds the day before. You retire on the first. The day before, you publish it on the second. That is so unprofessional. And I understand that up to the time when the man died, no notice was served on him. No notice was served for all intent and purpose, unless he's given notice, he's still a member at the force. And let me go on further to say that I know of cases, I'm talking our previous administration used to treat people who were unfortunate enough to get sick. I remember as a young, and people, the older one, Lado, and some of these people can remember, Tessa, you older people remember, Joe Reese, Corporal 6660, Joe Reese from the TSU, got a stroke. They have to walk long. Then eventually, he was able to resume. He had a pronounced limp. And despite that, people found things to him to do, make him useful around the place, felt useful. He felt he was of use. And Joe Reese, I think, worked until he retired. Then we had Daco Cummins, 5798 Cummins, a BV man like me. Cummins got a stroke. Same thing, right? Same thing. When he was fit enough, he came. He too had a pronounced limp, but he was there. People find he was useful. Man got a stroke and can speak and can think and so on. He should not be cast aside after giving all those service, all the service and so on. And at the day, I remember we had a thing at the TSU car yards, Joe Reese and Daco Cummins. Both of them had stroke. Both of them had issues in walking properly. And a race was organized one Wednesday games day. Race between Daco and Joe Reese, big money betting and so on. They ran from, I think, the gate to the building there, and everybody turned out to see the race. So you keep them happy, man. And then another case, when I was commander A division, and even before I became commander, people might remember Detective Brush, right? Brush was going to work one day during the troubled times, and in the vicinity of that action tie, I think it was in Crow Street, somebody shot him in his head. He lost his sight. And again, after being out for a long time, when he became well enough to resume, of course, he couldn't see. He was basically blind. He was allowed to resume, and he was useful because he was there. He could answer the telephone and all of that, right? I think he worked too until he retired. And I would never forget, Brush, I think, lived in the Mountain Branch compound, and I used to ensure that the staff car, the commander staff car, pick him up every morning and bring him to work. And in the afternoon, if one of his colleagues did not drop him back, we would to make sure. That is where, and Brush developed a keen sense of hearing, so that if you walk into the office and you speak, he could call your name. So I walk in, I say, morning, Mr. Slew. He's blind, blind. And the people at CID would tell you that when persons were arrested and taken into CID inquiries, and they were asked to give their names, and they gave a name, Brush would tell you, no, that is not that person. That is not that person. He recognized the voices. He can recognize voice. So I'm saying you have to treat people with more compassion. And then to me, what was the worst of it all? And this to me, I can ask Mr. Conway to come in after this. To me, what was the worst part? This man died Saturday morning. The man who sits in the chair decides he's going to go and visit the family. But it was a big spectacle with these people, their hypocritical self. You're going to express condolences to the relatives, the wife and the children of the deceased. Big show, cameras, taking out video cameras on social media, and the man visiting the family. That is so unprofessional. This is a time of grief. These people are grieving. The lady lost her husband. The children lost their father. People lose a relative. You go in the same day as old people said, the man ain't even cold yet. Cameras, and splash it all over social media so the people can't even grieve in quiet and peace. This thing hurt me so much to know how they treated that man, and then to run around and talk about, oh, we're gonna make sure this and we're gonna make sure that. I know they say Jambi and Dudley, when we said Jambi in Guyana, I think you in Jamaica tell Gopi man and sing the spirit. Jambi never get power, because if Jambi had power, that man would have, some Jambi would have put one box on one of them there when they go with the damn hypocritical self. And I'm saying, I'm no medical doctor. I am saying that is the stress over the year or two caused that man to the 47 years, buddy. 47 years is the stress. They stress that man out. And of course, some people are stronger than others. They can take these things. Some of them can't, and the man succumb to the pressure. So they got the desire. They wanted him out. And then he came out. They wanted him out. So they wanted him to be charged, according to the Minister of Affairs. They wanted him to be charged because once, if he was charged, then he would have been interdicted. They didn't get through. They got to court to stop the promotion. They didn't get through. Well, they got through to some extent. Then they try to get you off the work medically unfit. And when they didn't get through with that, the pressure got to him, the man died. So they got their desire. Well, let me tell you this. Every dog gets a day, Every dog has his day. What goes around comes around. What goes around, nothing in this life goes unpaid. So all the stress and all the problems y'all put the man through, make he take on and die, time coming. If not you pick me. If not you pick me. Them things can't go unpaid. Wickedness like that can never go unpaid. I'm worked up in the manner that they treat the man. Mr. Conway, please help me out here. Come in.
Paul, you rightly said every dog gets his day. I mentioned I know him well, father-son relationship. And let me go be you mentioned about persons who've been on the medical board and got through. You mentioned Garrett. We used to call him Big G. I remember you said when he used to go for his pension, people say, you come for your grandfather pension, but thing there. So you treat persons a certain way when they are medically unfit. I remember him, well, and I'll be brief. I remember that I selected him for undergo a 1-year special procedure course that was conceptualized by Larry Lewis. And I had to deal with a 1-year course, not only watered down course that I know, which was run by the Guyana Police Force, the University of Guyana, and the DPP. And some of the areas that they look at, we had courses evidence, criminal law, criminal practice and procedure, legal research and writing, advocacy, and they had attachment. He was on the first one. And based on that, he found himself at the University of Guyana, and then later on, UWoodin, where he qualified as an attorney. And I can remember you hinted on it that when he qualified, He invited me when he was admitted to the bar. He invited me to be present, but business kept me away. And he called me the same afternoon. He said, "Man, like you're behaving like them at the headquarters there." He said, "I invite all of them, and nobody ain't turn up. Even the Chief Justice had to comment that no police was represented." That's how they treated him. And as you rightly mentioned, Paul, I must endorse it that his troubles really started during the incident where the brothers were there and the Henry people were killed in Borbees, and he was the commando. His superiors in Georgetown had wanted him to use lethal force against unarmed protesters. He thought that a negotiation would have been a thing, that we shouldn't resolve conflict through the barrel of a gun. They want, because he reminded them, hey, he don't want to behave like what transpired Linden a couple of years ago where 3 persons were killed. He thought that negotiation was the thing. We were in regular contact. I'm a West Barbician, and I had quite a lot of intelligence which I pass on to him. And we know that using lethal force, killing people, wasn't the ideal thing. He suffered for that. They relieved him of his position, and as you mentioned, and they put him in an office marked project office with no project for him to monitor, and also put him to do what we call equitation, which we call horse riding, for him to supervise the equine section of the force. He wanted to really do some real police work. He wanted to be actively involved in policing, and he was very stressful over it. I tried many times, to console him, to try to motivate, see if we could motivate him that don't take on, but he took it on. I read some time ago that 85% of the illness in this world stress related. Stress and stress and stress. And he became sick. The rest is now history. They treated him like garbage. They treated him like garbage. And as you mentioned, hey, the man sitting in his seat run home with the big media with his PRO, not the communication unit, the confusion communication unit, with his PRO, take out photographs and even mention ridiculous to his wife that he's going to look at her and make sure she get promoted and get training and mentoring. He had opportunity to do that. He had opportunity to promote her at the last bogus promotion that they had. He didn't do that. He waited until her husband died and he or something. A nonsense, man. But every dog gets his own day, Paul.
Yeah. A dog don't sleep, but you don't like ugly.
Yeah.
You don't sleep, you don't like ugly. The day coming. All of them, they coming. The way how they treat a fellow officer. Now he's a senior officer. I made the point about Daco Cummins and Joe Reese and Brush, who are made to continue. He's a man who was admitted to the bar to practice law. You want to tell me you can't find something to him to do to keep him active? You want to tell me that? Anyhow, they say dead not done, cry not done. That is how they saying going. Dead not done, cry not done. But this thing really hurt me, I can tell you, to know how this man was treated, and up to the end, the type of disrespect to go to the man's home to meet his family and all the cameras there in their face and the thing on social media. That is disrespectful. It's not surprising because these people have no class. It is disrespectful to have turned up there with cameras and having it streamed on social media, right? Well, let me move on because I can spend the rest of the day venting on this issue. Now, the next thing I saw is I saw there was an incident reported in the newspaper where a West Bank man was arrested for discharging a loaded firearm at the 626 bar. And here what the things had good up on the East Coast. The firearm belongs to his 28-year-old cousin, who is said to be a businessman of Bel-Air Village, Georgetown. According to the report, the men were consuming alcohol when the suspect, who had his cousin's firearm in his possession, took out the firearm from his waist and discharged a shot in the air. But I tell you all about this Wild West, any and everybody get gone. Any and everybody. So this is a man, a 28-year-old businessman. I would love to know what type of business he's in, because I've said before in Guyana, you put up or you're selling 2 cigarettes and they ask you your occupation, you tell them businessman. the most popular occupation, businessman and mason. So if you work in a construction site, pushing a little wheelbarrow with sun, your occupation is a mason. So everybody's a businessman. So this man gets a firearm. I would love to know what he said, what is his job. He get the firearm. He gives it to his cousin, and then the cousin shooting it in the bar, the 626 bar at Good Hope on the East Bank, on the East Coast of Demerara. Could imagine scatteration. Because if when the gun went off in Providence police station, the police scatter. Could you imagine civilians in this 626 bar, how they would have reacted? And I'm waiting to see what will happen. Because a matter like that, of course, the firearm should be seized. And the next thing that should happen is that the owner should be written to for him to show cause why the firearm license should not be revoked. Because it is clear as day that he has violated the terms and conditions under which the firearm was issued. First of all, the man in unlawful possession of a firearm. He discharged a loaded firearm, not necessarily intent, in a public way. Lots of charges. I think they said the man is charged. But what happened to the licensed firearm holder? What action is going to be taken against him? The firearm should be, the license should be revoked, and other action should be taken against him. So I thought I'll mention that. Mr. Conway, did you see that one?
I saw it, and then I say they should investigate further, but then they might be investigating themselves. How did he get the firearm? So he's a businessman. What business? Did he get it at Shift Chanjapal Drive? Did he get it in Young Street? Did he get it from a house in Rob Street or some building southwest of Brigdown Police Station? Those are the things that they need to go deep in it, that people get in firearm too easily. And then, as you rightly mentioned, show cause why it should not be revoked, why firearm should not be revoked. Too many persons get in firearm too easily. But then again, it's not easily. You pay $1 million and you get your firearm. There's a starting point.
Well, let me say this to those who are listening to. We're talking about show cause because there's natural justice. I did a document on this thing. I left it in the force. Me, I know what to do, because when something like this happens, you just can't take away the man's firearm like that, even though he might want to. Of course, the firearm will be lodged as an exhibit in this matter where it was discharged, and it is kept lodged. And the person is asked to show cause why it should not be revoked. Natural justice. He's asked to show cause. You don't just go write him right away and say you're revoking the firearm. He has to show cause, and then he's given time. You either give him a reasonable time to respond. No timeline is given. He responds and he makes out a case. Because you run to some lawyer to say why the firearm license should not be revoked. Eventually, when it is revoked, as it should be in this case, you tell him the reason for the revocation. You have to tell him why it is revoked. And then you have to direct him to the relevant section in the law which says that he can appeal by petition to the president to challenge the revocation of the firearm license. So you get some free guidance. You're getting free advice and guidance as to how to proceed. Because if you go ahead like that and you just take away the license, the man can challenge you in court, and then you hear that you acted incorrectly. Now, so Mr. Conway, well, let me, before we close, I noted yesterday, perhaps we can deal with this next week, that the persons, the 5 men who were involved in this Narayandat murder on the quarantine, this is a matter involving the allegation was also made against Marcus Bishram, went all the way to the CCJ. It has caused the CCJ to say that the powers exercised by the DPP to direct a magistrate to open back a case is unconstitutional. I think I read this morning where the Attorney General is saying that they're going to have to go and they have to change the law to deal with that. But I noted yesterday, it was reported that the 5 men who were convicted some time ago were sentenced yesterday to 66 years each in prison. 66 years each in prison. So it seems to be, that seems to be the end of that matter. However, you recall that the CCJ did say that even the DPP could not have, the DPP can bring back the charge if they get new evidence. If they get new evidence, because the matter was discharged by the magistrate based on the fact that he felt that there was no prima facie case. But the DPP instructed that the matter be reopened and that he should be, Bijram should be committed. That was challenged all the way to the CCJ, and the ruling is this. So let's look to see what will become of that. And 66 years each, 66 years. I see somebody saying a irrational sentence. Let's see where they will go. CC, any closing remark from you?
Yeah, well, it irks me when those assistant commissioner continue to masquerade as deputy commissioners. Up to yesterday, I think I heard Brutus or them that the deputy commissioner admin, deputy commissioner Brutus, deputy commissioner Branham, deputy commissioner Bodram, deputy commissioner Watts. They are not deputy commissioner. They are not even acting deputy commissioners. The president has not promoted any one of them. And if you look at them, the badges that they're wearing is assistant commissioner badge. So if they say they're deputy commissioner, I mean they're improperly dressed. It is not, clear. It is not, I can't find words to describe their conduct there. They are cold-blooded assistant commissioners, not deputy commissioner. Deputy commissioner operation is the office, and the person who's working is an individual, and the individual is an assistant commissioner. So I hope that they stop, and I hope the personnel stop referring to them as deputy commissioner or deputy commissioner acting. It is not the correct thing. It is illegal for them to be masquerading as deputy commissioner. They are not. And one other thing I wish to talk about is that they continue to talk about the force strategic management plan. The force does not have a strategic plan. Let them produce it. At the last officers conference, they said the University of Guyana will look at it. And I don't know, of all people, the University of Guyana, you have to get people with policing experience. The Capital Simmons came here and they produced 2011-2015 strategic plan, which it started, and remember Patrick Mentor was doing some good work on it till Sila Pasali commissioner disbanding that thing. Now they don't have a strategic management plan. They have a strategic planning unit. They dropped the word management. Management is not in it. They have SPU, strategic planning unit. And they're talking about operational priorities, people, performance, partnership, and infrastructure. Those are things in the Capital Simmons plan. Tell me, yes, according to the Capital Simmons, but don't put that, don't come forward and say like this if it's your baby. It is not your baby. If you put as your baby, you are plagiarizing. I say, and also the Ministry of Home Affairs does not have a strategic management plan to give guidance to the Guyana Police Force. So share nonsense going on in the place. And in closing, I said at the end of every session, I will leave something with them so that they can ponder on. There's an American businessman and writer named Max Dupree. He wrote several books, including one entitled Leadership is an Art. And he's talking about leadership. He said the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. You must know what is reality, and reality is what is happening, not what you hope to happen or like to happen. And as a leader, you must understand what is reality. And you must also make sure to understand what is going on within your environment. You must check your environment. You must do environmental scanning, both internal and external. And he said, when you understand reality, you will use your technical, human, and conceptual skills to deal with the reality, to deal with what is happening, what is taking place. And he said, how do you know whether you are leading, you're providing true leadership. He said, do not look at yourself, but look at your followers. Ask the following questions. Are the subordinates reaching their true potentials? Are they learning? Do they achieve required results? Do they change with grace? Do they manage conflict? If the answer is yes, congratulate yourself. You are providing true leadership. And he's saying also that the last responsibility is that you must be able to tell your people thanks. When they do good work, tell them thanks, congratulate them. And that's what I want to leave with them today.
Well, they listen. Hope they're gonna listen, and hope they're gonna try to learn something. I have my doubts, but I hope they will listen. So thanks to that, Mr. Conway. And I want to say to you again, well, in the issue of deputy commissioner, I sat in the office of deputy commissioner from 2008 until I retired in 2010, and I was never addressed as a deputy commissioner because I was not. I never held out to be a deputy commissioner because I was not. But these people now, the masqueraders, they run around the place and they fool people. And as Mr. Conway rightly pointed out, there is a constitutional process to appoint deputy commissioners, and the constitution is there as to what should happen. And the same thing applies for whether it is a substantive position or whether it's an acting. So again, it's part of the unprofessional nature of what is going on. And it is condoned and encouraged in certain quarters, but we have to let the people know what is the true thing. I want to tell you that COVID is real. ASAR cases are still being reported, and for you to take good care of yourself. And just before I end, we're going to tell you that God's Spray Life next Wednesday, we're going to be here again. But before I end, I want us to, again, pay a little tribute to the late Senior Superintendent Cooper, and we're going to play something on the screen for you to look and comment if you so desire.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Why'd you have to leave so soon, yeah? Why'd you have to go? Why'd you have to leave me when I needed you the most? 'Cause I don't really know how to tell you without feeling much worse. I know you're in a better place, but it's always gonna hurt. Carry on. Give me all the strength I need to carry on. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where...
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Good.
Lovely ending, man. I love it.
Lovely ending, Ashley.